These days, kids don't just find lost toys. They find hidden texts, secret passwords, and, apparently, the skeletons in their parents' closets. Today on Our Space, there's no kid-friendly version of life's messiest mistakes. Only betrayal, heartbreak, and a child forced to grow up too soon. I'm 39 years old, and until recently, I believed my wife, Deborah, 37, was perfect. For 13 years, she was my world, the woman I built a home and family with, the mother of my son Daniel, who's 13. We were stable, happy, or so I thought. But you never really know someone until they shatter the illusion you've lived in for years. It started small. Deborah became quieter, more distant. She'd spend more time on her phone, less time talking to us. I figured it was stress. Marriage isn't always fireworks and laughter, it's work, patience, communication. I thought we could pull through, like always. I was wrong. One evening after work, I walked into the living room to find Daniel scrolling through his phone, face pale and uneasy. Something about him was off. The way he avoided eye contact, the way he tapped nervously at the screen. "Everything okay, buddy?" I asked. He hesitated. "Yeah, it's nothing." I could tell it wasn't nothing. I pressed him gently, and he finally looked at me with eyes that didn't belong to a carefree 13-year-old. "Dad," he whispered, "I'm just telling you what I saw." Those words hit me like a warning. He took a deep breath and said, "I think Mom is cheating on you." I actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because I didn't know how else to process it. Deborah? My wife? Impossible. But Daniel wasn't joking. His voice was trembling, his hands shaking. He told me she'd asked for help setting up an app on her phone. A message had popped up while he was working on it. Something sweet, romantic. At first, he thought it was from me, until he saw another man's name. He said he didn't want to believe it, so he checked her messages. What he found left no doubt. Texts about last time, about how she missed him, about how hard it was to find time away from the husband and kid. Like her family was an inconvenience, not her life. I listened quietly, heart pounding. He felt guilty for snooping, but he wanted to protect me. When he was done, I hugged him and promised he wasn't in trouble, that he did the right thing. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay beside Deborah, staring at the ceiling, replaying every memory, every kiss, every conversation, wondering which ones were lies. When she fell asleep, I checked her phone. Nothing. Every message thread clean. She'd already erased her tracks. That's when I hired a private investigator. It didn't take long. Within a week, the PI had evidence, timestamps, reports, and photographs. Her affair partner's name was Mark, a coworker from a nearby office. She'd been meeting him 3 times a week, right after work. The pictures still haunt me. Deborah and Mark kissing in his car, slipping into a cheap motel. Laughing, touching, looking carefree, while I was home cooking dinner for our family. I felt sick. After consulting a lawyer, I decided I needed one final confrontation. No yelling, no drama. Just truth. I sent Daniel to stay at a friend's house and came home early that evening. Deborah was sitting in bed, scrolling through her tablet when I dropped the photos in her lap. "What's this?" she asked coolly. "You tell me." She barely looked at them before shoving them aside. "You obviously have something to say," she said flatly. Her calmness infuriated me. I asked who he was, if she loved him. She denied everything, said they were just friends. I laughed bitterly. Friends who kiss in cars and check into motels? Her face hardened. "You don't have proof we slept together." That was her defense. Technicalities. As if betrayal only counted if it was physical. I mentioned the deleted messages, and that was her breaking point. Her face twisted with rage. "It was Daniel, wasn't it? That little piece of crap went through my phone." I froze. She hadn't even tried to deny it anymore. She'd just admitted it. And worse, she was furious with the child who'd told me the truth. She started pacing, ranting about how he'd ruined everything, how she'd teach him a lesson. I realized I didn't recognize her anymore. Quietly, I pulled out my phone and started recording. Her voice turned sharp and cruel, full of venom. She called our son a liar, a traitor. She said I'd turned him against her. When I told her I was leaving, she screamed, threw a vase against the wall, and told me I'd regret it. I didn't look back. I packed a bag, drove straight to my brother's house, and picked up Daniel. That night, I told him the truth. He'd been right. His mother had betrayed us both. He cried, not for himself, for her. He blamed himself, thought he'd destroyed the family. I told him no, she did. A few days later, I filed for divorce and temporary custody. Deborah's calls turned threatening. She demanded I bring Daniel home. I sent her the recording of her outburst. It shut her up fast. But she didn't stop being toxic. She started texting Daniel directly, long, manipulative messages about how he'd destroyed our family. He showed them to me himself. I blocked her number on his phone. The first custody hearing didn't go as I'd hoped. The judge didn't think she posed a real danger. But he allowed Daniel to stay with me for now, as long as I kept her informed. Still, I was terrified. I'd seen the rage in her eyes. A few months later, the final hearing came. This time, I had everything: the recording, the messages, the PI's report. The judge reviewed it all and called her behavior deeply concerning. He granted me full custody. She was given only supervised visits, pending future review. When I heard the ruling, I almost cried, not out of joy, out of relief. I'd done everything I could to protect my son. Deborah tried to play the victim in front of friends and family, spreading lies about me stealing Daniel. Most of them believed her at first. But truth has a way of catching up. Once the custody ruling came out, people saw her for what she was. The visits were awkward. Daniel didn't want to go, but I encouraged him to. I told him forgiveness wasn't weakness, it was peace. To her credit, she eventually apologized. She told him she felt lonely, that she hated herself for what she did. He didn't respond, just nodded. When he came home, he told me, "She looked like a stranger, Dad, not Mom." I told him, "That's because she's still figuring out who she really is. We already know who we are." He smiled, for the first time in months. Now, life is quieter, peaceful, no more secrets, no more pretending, just me and my son, healing together, rebuilding what she tried to break. Sometimes I still think about that night, the betrayal, the rage, the moment she turned on her own child instead of facing her guilt. And I realize only a truly guilty person attacks the one who tells the truth. She lost her family because she tried to destroy the one person who still loved her. If she ever wants to rebuild, she can start with therapy, an apology, and proving she's safe to be around her son again. Until then, she can live with the consequences she created, because when trust dies, love doesn't save you.